Took me home, did me long, ate it with the panties on.
Wait a minute, did you see that? It's sleek, it's sharp, and it's flat. Where did he get it? I just gotta know. Where did he get that Rike Knife Tissot? The feel is integral, the action is hydraulic. It's more than it seems, executed so perfect. Sleek and futuristic, it slides in my pocket with that detent so perfect. It flips like a rocket. Rike has the talent, the skill and the patience. Flawless finishing, always crafted with brilliance. Richard, woo, machinist supreme. There's nothing he can't do, or so it seems. The feel is integral, the action is hydraulic. It's more than it seems, executed so perfect. Sleek and futuristic, it slides in my pocket with that detent so perfect. It flicks like a rocket. Silky smooth action, silky smooth finish. I know it sounds crazy, but don't think that I'm foolish. This knife is so sexy, so slick, so smooth. This erection won't diminish. The erection won't diminish. Don't make me say that again. Rike knife, knife life, Rike knife high life. Tissot, sexy move show. I go spaz bro, seeing how low that price goes.
Okay, boys and girls, welcome in. Thanks for joining me as always. My name is Jim. This is the knife that I have been the most excited to bring out here under my lens over the past couple of weeks. Problem is, that meant I had to take it out of my pocket and stop carrying it for a couple of days so I could photograph it and then I could sit down and do the review. This is the brand new Rike Knife RK Tissot 1. And it is absolutely phenomenal. You guys might remember back in 2023 when I was guffawing over the Rike Knife Lamella. And the cyber tricks. Here is a knife coming out in the exact same vein of quality, of slick modern design, of incredible machining, and some innovation. So you're going to have this hydraulic-like smoothness to the action that really, honestly, you are not going to feel in any other knife outside of Rike Knife. The next one that comes the closest, or I should say the Rike is the closest to it, since it predates that feeling that Rike has started to do in the past 2 or 3 years. Rockstead. And yes, I know it sounds crazy. With Rockstead, you're talking, $1,500 plus pocket knives, and I'm comparing it to a $400 pocket knife. Trust me when I tell you the action feels every bit as amazing. And it has that slow but smooth hydraulic feel that they do. But this knife has a trick up its sleeve. It's a fingerprint magnet. No, that's not the trick. The trick is the fact that you're looking at it going, oh, that's an integral. Yeah, but no, it's not. See, watch that action. Ready? Just got a little shaky. I'll do it again. It is, I cannot express to you how almost sensual that feeling is when it's closing. It's not, there's no looseness to it. That's what I'm having a hard time describing in the same way that I felt about the cyber tricks and with the Lamella as well. is it's very smooth on the close, and it will close under its own weight, but it's not dropping freely. I don't want to use the word friction. I'll say tension. You can feel that there's tension on the blade, but it's liquid smooth.
Damn, we're smooth.
It's not like you're feeling a grittiness or anything. I don't want you to misunderstand what I mean about the tension or friction. It's just, it glides without feeling like it's out of control or like the pivot is loose. This is not an integral. It just looks like one. What you have is an integral clamshell over a frame lock. That's the construction. Now, you might remember when I brought out the lamella, it was a little bit of a pain in the butt to open up because you had to go inside and with a little tool and unlock it. No more now. You have a switch right back here. You have a sliding lock to make sure that you can get this frame apart swift and quick. So I suppose before I even get into the amazing parts about this knife, you want me to show you how to do that. Okay. Simply unlock it, and you don't need to open the blade for any reason. You simply, I say simply, but you pry. That's where your grip is going to come in. You're going to pry the two sections apart a good ways. It's not going to pivot all the way off. It's actually hooked in right here. So you don't want to, I don't know if you even can bend that, but you don't want to bend that. So what you can do, get that separated as best as you can and hold it apart. Give it a little bang. Actually, I think we've got to go a little bit harder. And you want to see that release from there. It's going to be more visible on my knife here because I have the black DLC on the clamshell. Not all of them are black DLC. Some of them are just very slightly two-toned, but you need to be able to see that. Now, I do believe when this has broken in over time, this is going to be easier to do. But in the beginning, it's kind of a pain. All right, now that I banged it enough that I've ruined my backdrop, that's fun. You just slide it off the front. Again, I say just. As you see, it's not the easiest. And that's because everything that Rike does is very, very fine machining. So the tolerances are extremely tight. There is no wiggle room. This slides on there as if they were mated together from birth. Now, what are you left with? Right here, you have, and I realize I called it a frame lock earlier. It's not. It's a nested liner lock. You have a full and complete liner lock here without the clamshell on it. This is a full, complete knife right here. It functions. It cuts, it opens, it closes, it goes to full lock. Although I will say this, and again, that shows how tight this fits onto the body of the knife. The action is a little bit looser, a little bit faster on the self-closing. So this clamshell is squeezing the hell out of that frame. Now let's go ahead and reassemble it. All you need to do is just line up the tabs, push it in. Now there's no more struggle after that. Once you've got the tabs aligned, when you squeeze this together, it pulls it back into line for you. So you only have to struggle in one direction. You only have to struggle when you go to open it. Now, the only thing that I'm not a fan of about that is the fact that on the DLC version anyway, that leaves massive, ugly fingerprints all over the finish. So you'll want to wipe it down when it's done. Now here's the thing about this knife. When I look at the overall shape of the entire knife, and then I specifically look at the shape of the blade along with the height of the blade, I want you to take a good look at this and tell me if it reminds you of something. It is in no way knocking off anybody. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is it reminds me so much of one very particular knife. That happens to be the Microtech Annex. A knife that I've owned a few variants of over the years, and one that I've truly loved and enjoyed. Starting off with the original Custom when it first came out, the Marfione Custom. This is very, very similar in the way that blade is shaped and the way that it mates up with the handle. It looks very similar. But that's it. That's it. It's the overall profile that reminds me of it. There's not another thing about it that reminds me of it. Well, the fact that the Annex was a true integral, yes. But everything about this is completely different. Now, here's the thing. The second I saw the pictures of this knife that Rike had posted on their Instagram, I went, ooh, I want one of these. But I wasn't sure how I felt about the pivot design. Because when you look at it, the pivot design is overpowering. There is a lot of size there. It takes up a lot of real estate on this knife. My fears were quelled instantly when I opened it up and I saw again, back to Rike's amazing machining, when I saw the beauty of it. I didn't realize that it was going to be so three-dimensional and how much depth it had. So I dig it. I still wish it wasn't as prominent, but I do like it. Now, Rike has risen to a level that few production houses have, especially those coming from China. A level of refinement so great that just holding one without even looking at it, you recognize the high quality in your hands immediately. Once you feel that smooth, hydraulic-like action, you feel the soft handle edges all the way back here across the spine. You feel that solid lockup and that laser sharp blade edge. You feel like you've got a high-end knife in your hand, because honestly you do. You're not paying high-end knife prices, but you've got a high-end knife in your hand. Then when you look and you see the crazy details in all of their designs, the sexy finishes, the combination of finishes, and the complete lack of tool marks, you know that a lot of time was spent making each and every knife as perfect as it can be. And that's why I believe that Rike has surpassed every other Far East brand and is close to simply dominating the entire world in this industry. It almost feels like there's nothing that Rike can't do. I want you to take a good look at that thumb disc. This is something that, as you saw in the photography, I was focusing on, because that's something that they've been focusing on a lot in their designs. It looks so damn cool. That's a one-piece design that they have secured on one side with this hardware. And it meets up with this gear-jimped milled area of the blade. I mean, just wow. Yeah, this is one of those few knives where I sit here and I make sounds more than I make words, because it's a thrilling knife. I wish I could explain to you how great it feels. How silky smooth the finishes are. How perfect the grinds are. Look how perfectly smooth, almost velvety smooth those bevels are. And let's not also overlook the fact that they have done one of the coolest plunge grinds I've ever seen on a production knife. And the heel of the blade is completely rounded off. And there's going to be somebody out there that goes,
I sharpen my own blades, and that's gonna be impossible. Why would they do that? Why isn't there a sharpening notch?
and while I've made fun of that for years, was showing many, many, many knives on my channel, I'll give you a little bit of a break on that because I know that it seems daunting, especially when you see how thick the heel of the edge is. And you're wondering, how in the world am I supposed to sharpen that without getting a smiley? Don't do it with flat stones. That's the best thing I can tell you. Because you want to be able to softly come in on that back corner there. I don't want something that has a 90-degree edge, because it's going to be a little bit too challenging to do it that way. But I love how it looks from the design aspect. It looks really, really cool, and it looks wildly unique. There's a little bit of a finger choil here in the frame, so if you choose not to hold it where it's clear that your fingers are supposed to go and you want to get up a little bit more, you are able to. And if you feel like you want to choke up even further, you can. And because of how thick that gets back there, it's not going to slice open your fingers. So it's a few more things to keep in mind. Now, I'm honestly glad I'm at the tail end of this video because that means I get to put this back in my pocket and continue carrying it. I am personally in love with this knife. I think it is fantastic. Are there criticisms? Yeah, but not much. I will give you that yes, form over function, it would have been probably better to have this more squared off and have a sharpening notch just to make more people happy and to make it a little bit more utilitarian. I'll go with you on that. But I like the aesthetics of this. I like how it looks, and it sets it apart from every other knife that you're likely to ever hold. I was worried about the overbearing pivot design, but in person, it is significantly nicer, and you come to appreciate the machining that went into it. I love the way that they have scalloped into this frame. It creates beautiful body lines on this knife, almost like on a car. It's sleek and it's sexy, and it kind of has this feeling of motion even while it's sitting still. And that's something that we don't often see designed into knives. Back here, credit where credit is due. Richard Wu, the owner of Rike Knives, is the one who personally designed this knife. And in case you're wondering what this screw is, there is actually a roller bearing set up on the pocket clip, which I'm going to tell you right now is super effective. This glides into the pocket and glides out. It still will stop, so it's not going to just push itself out of your pocket because of the way the ramp is built. But it feels so good because that bearing that's on the backside of that clip, and you can see the contact point right there, it really is rolling as it glides into your pocket and slides out of your pocket. Very, very slick. They've done an amazing job all the way around on the Tissot. And I think any serious collector who wants something high grade and they want something unique and doesn't mind spending $400 on a production knife, this is going to make you very, very happy. What isn't going to make you happy is when you decide, hey, I want to play with this and open it up and slide this clamshell cover off. It's going to be a pain in the butt. The fitment is incredibly tight. When you go to sharpen it over years of use, remember again, this is M390. It's going to hold its edge for a pretty good long time. Stropping goes a long way, folks. You could probably get away for a good year of daily use with this knife with doing nothing more than stropping. Yes, it will be a pain in the butt to sharpen if you don't already know how to work around that sweeping, thicker plunge. Once you learn, you can be like, oh yeah, okay. It's not a fun thing to learn, so there will be people that will be irked by that. The only real negative thing for me personally on this knife is I wish they would have taken the same care on these edges of the frame that they did on these edges of the frame. Back here, it's rounded and contoured and nice and soft in the hand. Here, while it's not sharp, there is a defined edge that you won't miss. So yeah, I wish that was just softened a little bit. Even if they just took it to a Scotch-Brite wheel for a couple of seconds before they blasted the finish, I think it would have been a huge difference. And that's it. That's my major criticism of the knife is I wish the underside was as smooth and contoured as the top side. That's it. You know, that's not bad. To have only one major criticism on the entire knife, I think they did pretty damn good. Anyway, I'm going to end this on a high note, leave you with that, and I'll see you on the next video.